Hello, everyone. Hmm. Hello. All right. Hello, hello. Waited a long time for what? What are we waiting a long time for? I haven't even touched my keyboard. And already, this god awful fucking calculator button on my keyboard is so annoying. I pressed it one too many times. And there's nothing I can do about it. All right. Stream is going to be off to a weird start. I have a conspiracy theory for you. The other day, I was buying concert tickets. And if you know concert tickets, you know that you buy them through we are not a monopoly, we swear, Ticketmaster. Literally pretty much everywhere in the world, I believe. And I was trying to get tickets for two shows, and in both of them, there was a virtual queue, and I had 60 something thousand people ahead of me. 64, 62, something like that. And I then tried even a third show, and also 60 something. 63, something like that, thousand people ahead of me. Except one of the queues lasted about 30 minutes, the other one about an hour, and the other one about 3 hours. So I remembered other times that I've also bought a ticket. I tried specifically not to say that number, but there's another reason I didn't say that number. I thought of other times that I've also tried to buy tickets and I've been put in a queue. Always 60,000 people. So the conspiracy theory, put on your tinfoil hats for this one. The conspiracy theory is that somewhere in Ticketmaster's backend, there is a 16-bit unsigned integer holding on for dear life. That's why also 67,000 would not have worked, because a 16-bit integer is 65,536, if I'm not mistaken. So that's why all numbers have to be below 65,000. And that's why I feel like every single time it's been around 60,000, because it's a 16-bit integer. Your favorite artist's livelihood is being held up entirely by a 16-bit unsigned integer. I kind of forgot if live shows are the most or the least profitable part of the music industry. I don't remember. It's one of those two, but I don't remember which one. Actually, gonna layer the conspiracy theory even more. The number is fake. It's still based off of a 16-bit integer, but it's fake. And the third layer, just for fun, that 16-bit integer was coded by Terry Davis when he worked at Ticketmaster. That one's just for fun. All right, tinfoil hat off. Last time I streamed was Monday. Hello, Stony. And there's been a lot of changes since then. A lot has happened. So quite a lot to go through. Actually, I hate the 6-7 meme. I was trying to make sure that I didn't accidentally say 67,000, that I try not to say those numbers ever. I try not to say those numbers together. Half of them are AI scrapers getting put into the queue, most likely. This was a 60,000 people ahead of me, and I ended up getting tickets for a venue that was 15,000 capacity, and also not all tickets were available to begin with. So, yeah, most of them, and keep in mind, most people are buying more than one ticket on average. You'd be surprised at how many people bring like their entire family, even grandma, to like the most random shows. And how many people bring their fucking boyfriends that have never heard a song by the artist. I hate that so much. Anyway. All right. All of the stuff that's happened. All right, let's begin. There's a lot. You know what? It's my first time streaming, working on Redacted OS. So I want to try something real quick. There was this crash that only happened on stream. I've tried debugging it off stream. I haven't been able to reproduce it a single time. I tried it on stream. Immediately what happened. So, is OBS corrupting my system? That sounds ridiculous, but at this point... Okay, this is working fine. It's working fine. Alright, but announcements. First off, there's this limitation. If you try to run too many apps on Redacted, eventually you will... Please tell me I didn't pull the changes. This is embarrassing, damn it. I did pull the changes. Okay, so never mind. If you did that too many times, eventually it would say kernel allocator overflow and it would crash. That's because there was a limited number of pages allocated for the MMU to use, and the MMU is doing memory translation, memory protection, and all that stuff. So without those, it kind of can't do anything. So it was crashing because of that. Since when is it blue? I changed it randomly. You know, it's just a file that you can change, so... I don't even remember why. I think it had to do with that bug. Okay, so that's fix number 1. That's no longer an issue. Like, that's no longer a limitation. You can now run as many apps as you want, and as many times as you... Well, you can run apps as many times as you want, but you can run a maximum of 64 processes at the same time. That is another limitation that I need to lift, but I haven't yet. However, the other thing, this is what happens when you go on holiday as a programmer. Whoops. I kind of forgot half the command that I was trying to type in. There it is. All right. Is this the size? I believe this is the size, yes. So that is 3 megabytes. Okay, yeah. These are the executables for my system. Kernel.elf, which contains debug files, has 3 megabytes, 266,496 bytes of information. The IMG version, which is the one that gets installed on the actual Raspberry Pi and is also the stripped down version of it, is 2 megabytes. However, oh wait, hold on, I need to build it. All right, there it is. This is now it. 1 megabyte, 622 kilobytes, 760 bytes, or 713 kilobytes for the stripped down version of it. This is what happens when a programmer goes on holiday. I made my executable... Might as well put this damn fucking button to use. What was the previous size? Oh my god, there's so much information here. Damn it. Here's the previous size. All that just for Linux to screw me over. I hate you, Linux. Three times smaller. This is what happens, again, when you go on holiday. Except all of this happened yesterday after work, so it barely even counted as a holiday. But yeah, this is what happens when you get bored. You're like, okay, well, I'm not gonna work until next year. I'm gonna make my executable 3 times smaller just for the sake of it. Okay, What's up? Yeah, so redacted is now 700 kilobytes. Next announcement. Last time I was working a little bit on these projects, Ghost Game and Game of Life, and as you can see, I've completely removed the make file off of this project, so I'm gonna need to do some configuration. I was also working on the hacking game, which I haven't touched since I last streamed. He barely ever drinks water except for when I'm here recording something or streaming. Alright. Hey, buddy. Yeah, so I created a build system for the system. PRC, Reducted OS uses C++2 for now. We'll see if it still does by the end of the year. We'll see about that. Oh, these are popular repositories. This one I'm pretty sure nobody else has seen yet. All right. So I created this simple build system to compile Redacted OS apps and the cross-platform as well. All using one makefile and kinda global. Only I remembered how to navigate. Okay, I remembered. And it's kinda easy to use. I'm just gonna rename it from redacted build system to red build, which is probably gonna end up being its real name. Then there's a setup script, which I haven't tried on Linux, so we'll see if that works. Did not work. Probably did work, actually. Hold on. It worked. Yeah. Except I shouldn't have done that. You can now call this red C command from any project and it will automatically build it. Kind of works in the same way as make. It actually just passes all of its arguments to make. So if I run it from Ghost Game, which I'm doing all that, just closing windows and reopening them so I don't have to reload the configuration file, the shell configuration file. But red C clean will clean the game, and then red C run will oh, I made, damn it, I also made changes to the engine, so god damn it. What's your problem? UID undeclared. Find all undeclared. Okay, so it hasn't detected the changes that I just... Wait, did I pull the changes from the engine? I didn't. What do you mean already up to date? Did I push the changes? I didn't push the changes. Alright, hold on. This shit won't compile. Working with two different machines is kind of a pain in the ass sometimes. Detour. Oh, I straight up did not commit these changes. Okay, hold on. Alright, there it is. And now there it is. Okay. That took a while, but it can easily just compile projects and do all that stuff. Essentially without me, because every time I make a change to the way that my system loads applications or to the build system, I would have to update a million make files in a million different projects. Now I don't have to do that anymore. And also this is kind of a precursor to me making my own build system and getting rid of make, because fuck that. Either making my own build system or just like using, what was it, Knob? The one that Soding made? Oh, here it is. Knob. Even using something like this, just replacing make, I only have to replace it in one place. Except right now it can only build applications, it cannot build libraries or command line tools. So I'm not done working on it. I'm probably going to work on it a little bit Friday. But for the time being, it is capable of doing all these things. And just saves me a lot of time in not having to update all my projects a million times. These are not warnings that I expected to see. Because I did recompile the system. Yes, I did. It's now like 700 kilobytes. So clearly I recompiled it with the latest changes. And yet I am seeing some warnings here that I wasn't expecting to see. But that doesn't matter. Today I want to work on the hacking game. And first off, I'm going to need to make some changes to the engine. Well, let me see where I left off the hacking game. I have to... This is another thing that I really want the build system to handle is rebuilding dependencies. Because I have to do this, followed by this, wait, followed by this, then this, followed by this, followed by this, wait, this, which now fails every time I wanna build. Well, why is it failing? I forgot to put the dependency for libmath in the project. Most likely. Which is weird because it should be there, but it's clearly not. Let me see. Local dependencies. Oh yeah, I straight up just forgot to include a dependency here. Oh no, there it is, okay. M is the math library, so it should be getting included, but apparently it's not. GCC LM, it's right there. But of course, LM needs to go after raylib, doesn't it? Yeah, somehow. Wait, I had this issue, this exact same issue about it randomly not being able to find some functions last time as well. It has to do again with the order of these libraries, and I don't remember how I fixed it. You know, the problem is I based this makefile off of the one for the Game of Life, which is very similar to the one that used to be the Ghost Game one, but not quite the same. Can you open what I'm telling you to open? What the hell? Sorry, I wasn't drag and dropping correctly. Alright, this is the order in which things are being done in the hacking game. It's the standard library include BioMX. Okay. Wait, no, these are includes. Okay, here. So lib shared goes last. That's there was a way to make it's so stupid that why does the order in which libraries are linked sometimes cause errors in GCC? I swear to God, it's so annoying. If a static library depends on oh my God. Putting all this in a script is just annoying. The new GNU LD linker is a so-called smart linker. It will keep track of the functions used by preceding static libraries, permanently tossing out those functions that are not used from its lookup tables. The result is that if you link a static library too early, then the function in that library are no longer available to static libraries later on in the link line. See this. If you add WL start group to the linker flags, it does not care which order they're in or if they are circular dependencies. Thank you, this is what I was looking for. It is a smart linker. It is a smart linker. A smart linker. Very, very smart. It's very smart. It's a smart linker. Smart linker. Did it not do it? It did not do it. Oh, wait, no, hold on. There's actually... It's supposed to be done like this. What a smart linker. Okay, smart linker has been defeated. I need to let that go. I've said smart linker like 50 times already. Well, there you have it. I have outsmarted the smart linker. Alright, I'm done calling it that now. Why is this tracked? Did I accidentally... Did I accidentally include an ELF file in my repository? Oh yeah. Yeah, that's not supposed to be there. This entire folder is not supposed to be there.
Waffles are better than pancakes.
Waffles are better than pancakes. That didn't work, did it? I need to fix that. I keep forgetting. Hold on, pretty sure it did? Okay, so it didn't work for me. Oh, this is how you do it. Okay. I'm gonna play it again just to test. I'm also not wearing the headphones, so I'm not sure how it could have worked for me, but yeah. Oh, why does sound alerts have a year in review? Like, why is that a thing?
Waffles are better than pancakes.
Wait, was that doubled now? I feel like this happens every time I switch computers when streaming, pretty much. Nope, it was good? Okay. I think it was doubled, it's just that you don't notice it because it's playing at the exact same time. Which is cool until it no longer is playing at the exact same time. But that's a problem for them, not for now. Okay, anywho. Alright, so I didn't realize that this... I accidentally committed something that I shouldn't have here, but cool. I added the start group, and the order of these things no longer matters. Outsmarted smart linker by making link order irrelevant. Alright, I feel like that's petty enough. Commit and push. Outsmarted, and then I forgot to fucking include the file where I actually did that. We're just gonna amend that. And because I pushed, can we force push? Yes, we can. Directly from the editor. Cool. Normally you have to go into the command line or click a extra button. It's like, whoa, force pushing? You're not supposed to do that. Okay, feel like we are now ready to go back into the hack. And I forgot to update this project. That's the thing now. I need to update all my projects one more time in order to put this config.mk file that this one doesn't have. So hold on. This config.mk file that contains the dependencies for the local dependencies for your project. So libshared and detour and where you want to install stuff, essentially. So gotta do that, but then I can just update my game. This is because I made changes to not to the operating system. I made changes to the game engine. So this manual render function is now a pre-render function. There's also a post-render function that's not being used, but it's there. And now my game runs. Cool. All right. What do I think about coding courses? Absolutely not. JetBrain icon theme? I don't think I do. I have the Capuchin. I wish I could see what they look like. Anyway, about courses in general, I don't tend to like them. I think if you want to learn how to program, why everyone loves Capuchin? Because it's the first one that comes up. I pretty much was just like, I don't know which one I want. They don't have icons. I cannot see what they look like until I install them. And then someone said, oh, I use that one. So I use that one and it's cool. And it also fits with my cyberpunk or synthwave theme. So these work for me. Unless you know of a better synthwave cyberpunk themed icon pack, in which case please let me know. About coding courses, I think that they're just not worth it. I think the best way to learn how to code is have a project in mind and find out how to do that project. And if you don't have a project in mind, question why you want to learn how to code in the first place. So, which is something that I wish, because I've taught a few people how to, friends, and not like I've taught courses, I've taught friends how to code. And I genuinely wish I had asked that question. It's not that I wasted my time teaching them how to code, but it was just like, why do you want to learn how to code? If they had a project in mind, I would have wanted to, you know, help them out in making that project instead of teaching them how to make a calculator in HTML, JavaScript, and CSS or something stupid like that, or in C or whatever. Just not worth it. If you have a project in mind, learn how to make that. Then again, okay, yes, that is one good argument. I'm speaking as a college dropout that skips tutorials in video games. The way I was bashing courses like this afternoon and now I'm doing it again. I don't know why, it's just complete coincidence, but yeah. Android dev and there's no proper documentation on it? Isn't there? If you want to be an Android dev, what do you want to do as an Android dev? Like, imagine that you fast forward in time after you've taken a course and after you've done all you need to do. Then what are you doing? What project are you working on? What are you using your skills for? Because I've done some Kotlin development for work. Because I work mostly with iOS, but every once in a while I've had to do some Android stuff. And like, to be fair, when it's work, I have a very specific goal that I'm working towards because I have a Jira ticket. But yeah, just, okay, how do I do this in Android? And to be fair, then I have code review in which my coworkers who are Android experts can tell me what I did wrong. But for the most part, and I haven't done anything particularly complicated and worked on existing code bases for the most part, almost exclusively. But yeah, I feel like if you have a goal and you set, like, just build towards that goal, you don't necessarily need a course. Then again, speaking as someone who doesn't do courses, schools, or teachers or anything like that. If that's something that you require, then don't take my advice. Because I'm not the person to take advice from. But if I wanna do something in a new programming language, I'm just gonna do it. I don't see the point of learning. If you already know a programming language, especially. Like if I wanna... Actually, I don't wanna. say learn Rust. I was gonna say learn Rust, but let's say Zig, because I've complained about Rust a lot. So let's say Zig, which I've been neutral and maybe curious about in the past. I don't want to just make a pointless project where I just learn how to do Zig. Like, okay, this is how you do a main function in Zig. I have no idea what Zig looks like. And then, I don't know, this is how you... I'm JavaScripting Zig here for the sake of this example, but this is how you do a hello world following a tutorial. I'm just gonna be like, okay, I want to do this next thing in Zig just for the sake of it. I'm just gonna learn how to do that. Okay, how do I print to the console in Zig? So I just Google how to print to console Zig. Is it really that complicated that people are having entire discussions over it? std log warn. Okay, there it is. That's how you do it. That's a warning, to be fair. It's crazy that I know how to code low-level C than coding simple C programs with libs. Same. That's why when I was doing the raylib test example, which is just native code with the raylib library, I was just like, when I was with the makefile, I was just like, I know how to do cross compilation for bare metal. How do I do native compilation for the system that I'm currently on? I'm lost. Printing in Zig is kind of microcosm of their error handling system. It is easy to understand, but you have to have a grasp on their philosophy of error handling. Oh my god. Why? Why must we do this? Also, the makefile that I opened was actually for my project, not the other one, so that kind of defeats my point, but doesn't matter. And happy to hear that you chose to become a hard worker with programming. I feel like it's a skill that you learn by doing. And I feel like, again, don't take my advice if you are a person who learns through teachers or courses. Take my advice if you're a person that learns by themselves. If it resonates with you. If it doesn't, don't take my advice. Like, whatever. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But yeah, just set a goal and start working towards that goal. Like, oh, I would really like to make a game. Well, figure out how games are made. Okay, so there's this thing called a game engine. There's actually some existing ones. There's Unity, there's Godot, there's Unreal Engine. Figure out how to use any of them. How do I make my character run in Unity? How do I make my... how do I make a little UI? How do I shoot a gun? Whatever. The goal isn't to be Linus, the goal is to get a fat paycheck. If you're in web dev, I don't know. I don't know actually. I've never done web dev. I've only done app development as a job. So I can't really compare. But if you want a fat paycheck, then learn COBOL. Fair. Fair. In that case, again, set a goal. What is the most popular type of Android app that you might find a job in? I'm not talking about like, okay, I'm just gonna see like, how is Instagram made so I can get a job at Instagram when I live in Spain and they don't have developers in Spain, I think. Just like what kind of apps are being developed around you that can be like something that you can work on as a professional, if that's your goal. And then do the same thing that I said, but instead of something that you want to build, then something that they need. COBOL won't help you. Oh, I don't know, but all banks in the US and Europe run on COBOL, and I would be surprised if banks in India didn't run on COBOL. I don't know that that's valid advice to learn COBOL just for that, but yeah. Of course, there are developers for Instagram in Spain. Are there? Like, people who actually build the app? You know, like the Instagram app team is probably all based in one place. Then there are people doing like server stuff and whatnot, but I'm talking about like app development. Because at the end of the day, it's the same app for everybody, even if it's different servers. And the servers all work the same way, so there's like one core development team and then smaller, I don't know. But yeah, kind of. That's how it is. There's just one core development team. Speaking of which, maybe it's time I start doing some development. And today, I wanted to try out some actual hacking mechanics. And I have a video of something that I built a while ago, and I clicked... Damn it. I clicked the button 3 times to connect to a network device, so now I have to wait. Unable to access. Connection timed out. You are literally connected to each other through a wire. How did the connection time out? Explain to me how the connection to the computer that you're getting the network from timed the fuck out. I swear to God. I hate networking protocols. What is it called? SMB? Who the fuck decided that this protocol was a good idea? I am literally connected to the laptop, to the computer that I'm trying to connect to through a wire. If you're watching this stream, it's working. The connection between the two is working. And it cannot connect to the computer, which means I cannot show the video because I also forgot to transfer it to this computer earlier. That one's on me. Or maybe I did. I did not. Okay, is that computer just dead for whatever reason? Let me see if I'm able to connect to it. Yep, it's alive. Just Ubuntu's refusing to connect to it. The Mac SMB implementation is especially dog shit. My Mac constantly disconnects to the server literally running next to me. Well, it is a Mac that I'm trying to connect to. Oh, but wait, I can connect directly to my MacBook. Okay. Okay. Since that's where the video originally came from, I just have to find it because I don't remember where it is. Did I delete it off the map? Hold on. Vertical monitor, guys. I've never felt the need. I don't know. Feels performative. That's just me being a hater. It's not an actual opinion. Alright, no, this computer is unwilling to connect. God damn it. Where is that video that I recorded? You prepare for a stream and then it doesn't work. Okay, I found it. Okay, cool. So just put it in this folder. And now that I'm connected to it, big streamers to use as a chat monitor? Yeah, I guess. Or if you're editing text, but then again, just you're gonna have to scroll eventually. Like, I don't know. that layout works for you, then happy for you. Okay, that was fucking difficult. All right, so this is the demo that I want to build, which I built in Swift a while ago for whatever reason. I don't even know when. I wonder when I built this. Did I just straight up delete it? I might have actually just deleted the project. No, here it is. All right, let me see. November 2023. 2 years ago. No idea even what the point was, but the idea is that a computer has an 8-bit binary key, and you just have to figure out the key based off of pairs of bits and being told the difference between the two. So right now the key that I'm guessing is 0000. There's 6 bits that are different. So I change it, that changes to a 5, then that changes to a 4, so that means that's a 1. Both of these are a 1, now the difference is 3. So on until you solve the whole thing. At which point it just resets immediately, so it's kind of hard to follow along, like it just happened here. But yeah, like when you get to this point, why is nothing changing? Alright. 3 bits right now are different from what they should be. Then you fix it, it's only 2. It's probably these two, so this value is 1, 1. And then you've solved the key. So that's the one that I want to implement right now. Are you going to put in more complicated exploitation ideas like buffer overflows, code execution? I mean, I would love to. I just kind of want to make it like this, like somewhat abstract, somewhat based off of like real concepts, but not off of real hacks, just real concepts. But like, okay, a binary, you're trying to just guess a key, which is an 8-bit binary key, by essentially kind of brute forcing it, but with a little bit of a helper. And yeah, I feel like that is a somewhat easier way to do these types of things. If I manage to find a way to make buffer overflows also representable through a minigame, then yes. And I feel like buffer overflows are like 90% of hacks out there, so it would be ideal to have something like that, yes. I just wouldn't know how to do it. This is the only minigame idea I have so far. The rest I'm gonna have to prototype, but today I want to prototype these things. On top of that, I also have to consider how to integrate it into the game itself. You can't do a game without cheat engine open. Interesting. There's a few games like that. Even like games have been used in like CTFs and stuff. This one YouTuber, Live Overflow, has... I think he actually built one at some point. He has played that Pawn Adventure game. That's very much like that. But I'm also pretty sure he built one. He also like hacked Minecraft. As in he created, I think he created like a somewhat intentionally vulnerable server, which wasn't meant to be a community server, but he accidentally leaked the IP, so it became a community server. But I feel like he made a game too. Developing a hackable game, this. I think he also did it for a CTF. I think there's a bonus level that require you to write a no shit cheat in C, C++. I had one CTF where I ended up patching the binary to allow for infinite jumping so we could win the game. I feel like he did something with infinite jumping. I feel like that was a thing. I've watched these videos, but it's been a while. But to be fair, that's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about not having to write any actual code, not having to touch a damn terminal. If you have to touch a terminal in this game, I'm just gonna destroy the whole thing. That would be useless. Yeah, I want the whole thing to be like in-game and be abstracted away, so to not be require any technical knowledge. Because I did play some hacking games and all of them require you to sit in front of a terminal, and I found that kind of boring in terms of gameplay. And also inaccessible if you don't know, at the very least, how to use a Unix terminal. If you're not a technical person. Whereas there are other games, like Watch Dogs, for example, which don't require technical knowledge, but they abstract away too much. I'm trying to do an in-between. Alright, before I build what I just showed, I'm gonna try not to look at my code for it, because this is something I technically already built, but in Swift now all I have to do is port it to C. Before I do that, I kind of need to figure out how interactions with computers and in general are gonna work in my game. Or maybe I should... Yeah, you know what I'm gonna do? No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm instead going to build a prototype project where I can do all of these very simple prototypes outside of the game engine, outside of all that stuff, because that's gonna require like extra setup to get it working with an already existing system. That name is gigantic. I hate that. All right. So I'm just gonna do this very simple prototype project, and then I'm gonna consider how to integrate the prototype once I figure out that it's actually like an interesting mechanic, once I figure out how to do it into the game itself. Also, I am curious if you have the name of that game that you did the CTF for. Most of them I feel like are still available. Like the Pawn Adventure one still works. Pretty sure this guy's game also. Does it even have a name? Not in the title anyway. Special one made for a CTF. Yeah, but they usually like make them available afterwards. This one is also developed for a CTF, and so is this one. And I'm pretty sure both of them involve infinite jumping. It's a very common theme, I feel like. Yeah, but I feel like this one had an infinite jump type of thing, or maybe he made an infinite jump type of thing. Because like in every thumbnail, you can see him jumping. Jump flying, really. Here. Fly hack.
Let's continue with our fly hack for Pawn Adventure 3. So far we have created a project
Wait, I skipped it.
height while the player position is calculated from the feet of the model.
I'm pretty sure he also did the exact same thing in that Minecraft thing.
Have the DLL inject into the game, enable fly hack and start flying. Isn't this awesome? Now just enjoy the sight. I'm a little bit proud of this.
Yeah, so he made this. Then... These ones, I cannot tell which one is the fly hack, but I know it's a thing. a game called Hack and Slash. The for that game specifically, it was done in Unreal, but like they put all their oh, Hack and Slash, a game that you can download on Steam. That's also a category, so I'm not sure if that's gonna be super helpful. Yeah, this is the category, isn't it? Damn it. No, this is the same category, but in English. Fourth result. I hate when they put music in their trailers. I'm just gonna play it quietly. Well, an AI slop game that I looked at got me a copyright claim. Only on YouTube, and I'm not monetized on YouTube, so I don't care, but still. As long as it's not a strike, I'm good. Wait, they have a little skit in their trailer. Yeah, I'm gonna wait for the ad break to finish before I watch it. Okay, I did what I needed to do here. Use in-game tools to hack the game while you play in it. Interesting. Interesting. Might have been interesting to look at this one. Also, I'm not entirely sure, but I feel like Steam has done, like, all that stuff that they've done to make their games or games on Steam compatible with Linux is also making them compatible with Mac, because every day there's more and more games that are becoming available on my Mac. And I doubt that the developers are porting their games. I think it's just Steam doing something. Let me see if there's been any more, actually. Since there's still a minute of ad break. Oh, okay. It's like within the game itself. That's interesting. Okay, no, there haven't been any new games that became available. Still 47. But that's like a quarter of my games are suddenly playable on Steam. Not sure what happened there, but they are. Alright, 20 more seconds. I have never heard of any of these games. Wait, maybe this? I'm not sure. Your sword can hack the variables of objects. You find magical artifacts that allow you to tune global variables to your liking. Discover equipment that lets you see the game's internal debug visualization to uncover things that weren't meant to be seen. Interesting. Alright, I waited for the ad break to finish. Now it won't unmute.
This is our hacking sword. When we plug into something that's hackable, this menu comes up that allows us to modify its variables. For instance, let's drop this guy's health to 0 to get him out of the way. But first, let's add some hearts to his loot drop.
Interesting.
Or we could set his damage to 0 so that he can't hurt us. Or we could make him friendly by changing his faction. Or really anything. These are all of the turtle's actual variables. Nothing is faked. You're always modifying the actual object property.
What the hell happened? Alright, well, I guess we saw enough. That wasn't the right game? Yeah, that game is not about you hack the game, it's you hack within the game. Okay, well, Let me know if you find it. I do want to see what it's like. But all right, so I'm gonna start a new project, which I've already forgotten how to do. It's not red C in it, it's red in it. That's going to create a redacted project, and it's going to automatically put the config.mk and the package.info for my project, which I can also customize. But I can now touch a main.c, and my project should already be set up to work on redacted. I just need to actually put some code in there. I also need to uninstall all those other editors. I feel like lapc at the very least was installed through here, so I might be able to just... How do you not realize that I have already installed it and you need to uninstall it? Why is that not a thing? Whatever. Alright, so all I need is syscalls. That's not how you do that at all. What the hell, did I forget how to code? And I just realized one thing. I broke bear now because I don't have a make file anymore. So I'll need to figure out how to fix that. But that's lost your time forever. That's sad. Just for the sake of it, I'm just going to quickly create the make file just so I can do this. And then the compile commands should be there. Nope. Yeah, here it is. OS lib shared. You should be able to see that. But apparently not. Whatever. I should still be able to do printf hello world and red C cross hello world. There it is. All right, cool. So to just make a very simple window, we need to create a draw context. Okay, it is automatically including everything. It's just... Okay, the error is actually gone. I need to request the draw context ctx. And then that should create a window and immediately close it. While should close ctx. ctx. Does it not take an argument? Yeah, it doesn't take an argument. We're going to commit the draw context. So we commit any UI changes that we make. And that's going to be the game. Well, the prototype. All right. So how do I want this prototype to work? I want it to generate a 8-bit integer, random, and then I want to guess it by doing pretty much what the thingy was showing, which is what was glitching? I feel like something on the screen was glitching on OBS, but okay, whatever. Yeah, guess it by guessing pairs of bits. All right, bye, MX. Okay, so how do I do that? First off, I'm going to need a random. Which I need to include actually. Is it std random? No. Is it just random? Nope. Oh, but it tells me. What are all these? Oh, built-ins. Damn it. No. Utils? Nope. Math? Math. Math. RNG. RNG. Create. I don't remember my own API. Embarrassing. RNG seed. Oh, that's okay. This is how it works. So we initialize a random number and then I can just create a uint8t. I haven't figured out how to make Zed not include headers automatically. You're not smarter than me, Zed. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, so it's just going to be a password. And our password is going to be RNG next 8. And of course the player's password should also be held here somewhere. The guess. There it goes again. There it fucking goes again. Do I have to do it every time I include a uint8? Okay, then I want a function to tell me the difference between the first. I can't autocomplete, otherwise it will add that damn header. That's so annoying. Okay. I want to calculate the difference between the two passwords. Is there a faster way of doing it besides the naive way? Probably. The naive way being this. Right, so that... No, if it's different, it should increase by 1. And that tells me the difference between the two passwords. I'm gonna do a clear to start drawing. Then I'm going to do a draw char even. Yeah, actually. Because this number is guaranteed to be between 0 and 8. So I can just do a draw char, which takes a context, I'm assuming a char, a scale, and a color. Clearly not. X and Y. I forgot the X and Y location. What's the problem with this? Isn't this a char? No, empty is not a char, actually. What the hell am I talking about? Plus the password difference between pass WD and the guess. Okay. So if I did everything correctly, that should create a random password and then tell me how many bits are different between my guess, which is currently just always 0, and that random password that was generated, and draw that into a character. Or a crash. Did I, yeah. Not give it a color. Not that it changed anything. It didn't work. At least it didn't crash. Fair. Let me printf it. Difference 1. Right, next time, by the way, just to check, difference 0. Difference 1. That's not a good sign. The difference is always 1 or 0. Because this number is wrong. La, 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 la. That's better. Is it now always 4 or 5? No, okay, it's not. Okay, cool. But it still didn't draw it to the screen, so that's a problem. Oh. You know why it didn't draw it to the screen? Because I wish I could just do like flashbacks to previous moments in previous streams, because that's exactly the reason. Because, and I quote myself or paraphrase a little bit, but I probably don't need to use FB draw char, so I'm not gonna implement it for cross-platform. That's stupid. It's a waste of time. Yeah, so, because this function is not implemented. That's the reason it didn't work. File. I hate this in Z, honestly. Is like on Mac it's fine because the file, edit, all that stuff is up here. But on Linux you have to click here and then you have to click here. Where is it? Yeah, I don't need that function. There's no point to it. Blah 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 blah. Bruh. There. There it is. All right, well, I guess I implemented it. There's a right project. I like working with multiple projects in the same window on Zed, but I need to make sure that I'm working on the right project or committing to the right project. All right. So that's implemented now. Now it tells me the difference between those two. And yeah, there's a few bits different and I have to figure out what they are. To do that, most likely I'm gonna build it in the same way that I built it. In the other one. I'm going to use a pointer to the guess, and I'm going to use an offset to draw two specific bits from that number. And then I'm going to allow you to click on it and just cycle through the possible values of those two bits. And then write it back to the guess, which is why I'm making this a pointer. All right. No, I probably don't. Okay, yeah. Take the value of guess, shift it by the offset times 2, mask it to 2 bits only, then make a string out of them. No, why am I doing it like this? What the hell? Render that string. Make this global. See, I don't care too much about like the correctness of this code or anything like that, because it is a prototype. And you should never put your prototypes in production, which is a rule that we're all following, right? Yeah? Okay. You're not putting your prototypes in production? Good. Let's make it 30, for example. Put it at 30 as well. Scale of 2. Color white. Okay. That should render the bits. But it's not going to modify them yet. What was that? What the hell's going on here? You are formatting them, right? Well, actually, I can just do println. F data. They're all zeros, yes. But to be fair, it should show 2 characters every time. Okay, there it is. Okay, most likely there's just not enough space between them. Yeah, that's it. Oh, it's drawing the 0B part. Okay, yeah. Right, you need to get rid of that. Alright, there it is. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and then I'm going to make it so that when you click on them, it is going to iterate through these numbers. I don't have any logic for clicking on a specific item. Funnily enough, like, at all. In the entire system, game engine, game, or prototype, nowhere. So it's time to build it. Another thing that I'm gonna do is I'm going to surround them with a little what color can I make it? Let's say blue. It's gonna be a bright blue. No, too small. I don't have any... Wait, no, I do have... I have an entire drawing library, which could very much handle this. I just forgot I had it. All right, there. Draw rectangle. No. How do you do the layout of this? All right, it's in the OS code, which I don't have open. In the OS's kernel processes Windows launcher.cpp, there's gonna be some draw rectangle. Okay, it's just a rectangle with a code inside of it. I mean, with text inside of it, with a label inside of it. All right. Okay, so I want to draw a rectangle. I want to pass it the context. I want to give it a rect UI config, which is going to be a border, color, and size. Okay, so that's going to be empty. There's not going to be a border to it. And then a common UI config, which if I'm not mistaken, is going to have its background color. That's going to be FF0000FF for now. A foreground color, which is going to be white. A horizontal alignment, which is going to be horizontal center. And a vertical alignment, which is going to be vertical center. This is my first time actually building input into this UI. So whatever I do in here is actually going to end up in that library that I'm using right now. What is your problem? Too few arguments? How many arguments do you need? You need item and children. You have your rectangle, which ends here. And then you have this, though it's empty. It's going to have a label. Why is that too few arguments? That's how I'm doing it here too. Oh, it needs a comma, doesn't it? All right, yeah, that's it. Okay, the other content inside of it is going to be a label. It is going to have a text UI config. This text UI config is going to have a text inside of it, and that text is going to be our string f data. And then it is going to have a common UI config, which is going to be... Shouldn't there be some size configuration happening in here? Oh yeah, it's done in the common UI config, okay. The common UI config is going to be the... Oh, I just skipped it last time, okay. Oh, wait, actually, these values need to go here. And then its size can be just... this. Relative and then inner rect. Where are you getting that inner rect from? Oh, I see. So how do you do this without the inner rect thing? Size 1, maybe? Alright, that's worth a shot. What the hell? No, that did not work at all. Yeah. Can't help but feel it might have something to do with the fact that I didn't give the rectangle, which contains the label inside of it, any size or location. And that, I don't know, might mess with things a little bit. So its location was offset times 60, and then 90 in the vertical. And its size was a 40 by 40, but that was too small, so it's gonna be 100 by 100. Hey, that did something. Wait, there's a parent, isn't there? Yeah, parent size. That's how you do that. Okay. Still not drawing anything, but we're making progress. There also... Okay, there we go. But they don't have any content. How do I give them content? Kinda wish I had like a UI inspector type of thing so I could see what's happening. That would make it really easy to understand. Is the size wrong? Is the location wrong? But I don't know. It's about time I start expanding this library, so. Oh, maybe the font size. Who knows? Maybe that's a property that's actually necessary. Well, what do you know? It was a property that was actually necessary. Okay. Alright, so those are there. But the font size is very tiny. Can probably get away with a 3. 3 is... That doesn't feel aligned. That doesn't feel aligned at all. That is not in the slightest aligned, even a little bit. I guess, you know what, it'll do for now. It's weird that it's not aligned. Point interact size. Horizontal center, vertical center, no background color, and white color. Wait, background color? Does that mean that I can just... Nope, it doesn't mean that at all. Background color is not used. Well, okay, don't want to waste too much time on this. So... I now need to consider how to do the click. There's an ugly way of doing it. I'm gonna do it the ugly way. I'm gonna get the mouse status, put it in that variable I just created. And then I'm going to check the mouse's... No, you can do get mouse position. No, I don't think you can. Yeah, this function is... I don't know why that came up. I need to create some basic systems to know if a button is pressed. But... Well, I have the system open here, so I might as well do that. Not in the kernel. Not in the kernel. In the shared library. I do like these icons, actually, now that I think about it. Some of them are cute. Well, they're all cute. Whenever it actually figures out what icons to use, they're pretty cute. Okay, in the mouse input, and just quickly create a static inline bool mouse button down uint at button, which just boils down to returning. Oh yeah, you need to do it with a... Returning the M buttons button and 1. And then also the static inline GPU point mouse pause with a mouse input M is going to return a GPU point of m.x, m.y. It's just a little utility function right there. Wait, how am I doing this? It's int 8. So I feel like that's not correct. Wait, do I not have an API for this? Have I used the mouse for anything at all? Oh, damn. I've used the mouse for scrolling. But I haven't really used the mouse for mouse position like this. So... the system doesn't tell me the mouse position just with these values. I have in kernel graph, no, kernel processes Windows DOS, I have some code for getting the mouse position, but that's not a syscall. Pretty sure that's done manually. Go window offset. Yeah, it calls this get mouse position, which returns a pre-built function. So I'm gonna need a new syscall. Amazing. Just to get the overall position of the mouse without getting the delta, which is what the other thing gives me. It gives me raw mouse input, which I can use as a delta, but it doesn't give me the overall position of the mouse, which I need to get from syscalls, syscalls.h, get mouse status. There also needs to be a get mouse position. It needs to be an extern. It then needs to be given a code. Not sure how to do that. Then I need to implement it. Then I need to create a backend implementation of that in the kernel, which is the one that's actually going to supply the value. This to do is already relevant, but I'm going to ignore it for the time being. We're simply going to return get mouse pause, which is fuck's sake. I'm going to have the syscall actually pass it as a result. I mean, as an argument, the memory in which it wants the point to be returned. Yeah. Okay. And then the syscall, the kernel needs to have its own implementation of it. No, it's actually now a void. Get mouse position with a GPU point out. This is now what the function looks like. That was a lot to do barely anything. Get mouse position now calls this, which in the kernel will call this function, and outside of the kernel will call this function if I actually bother implementing it in here. Get mouse position code, syscall get mouse. There we have it. I don't know why there's some random spaces in some of these. All right. I guess good thing I had the OS project open. Now back to my prototype. It's not even a game. I can now do get mouse position with this PT. And if it's not relative, that's going to give me the absolute position of the mouse on the screen. It is not going to give me the relative position of the mouse to my window, which is what it should give me. Okay, back to the OS. Get mouse position. Here it is. Okay. How do I do that? Oh my god. I need to have knowledge of the windowing system in order to do this. Just to be clear, this does not have a no. It does not have an offset. All right, let me test that it works first and then bother with that. Okay, so this should give me a mouse position, but it is going to give me a mouse position of the entire screen, not just my window. Getting that is kind of going to be a pain. Damn it, should have been make cross. But what is your problem? Narrowing conversion from mouse input 8 to uint 32. How is that a narrowing conversion exactly? An 8-bit integer is turning into a 32-bit integer. How is that a narrowing conversion? Wait. Okay, there. Library is rebuilt. And this is the wrong project. This one. Undefined reference to get mouse position. So I need to rebuild the entire system? No. Oh, I need to implement this in the... Oh, in the cross-platform library too. Implementing syscalls has gotten real fun now. Which means it's actually going to work well outside of my system, but not in my system. Mouse status. Boy, get mouse position with a GPU out. Okay, so this is actually wrong. But yeah, for the purposes of this prototype, this is gonna work. If I want to run that in my system, it is not going to work. So I'm going to do the best thing I can. Needs to have knowledge of the windowing system, which I hate that, but yeah, it needs to have that. Okay, I'm gonna leave a to do for that, and I'm gonna go back into the game here, and then do I have some logic for finding a point inside of a... Oh yeah, if I do it's in here. Finding a point inside of a rectangle? Check collision, line intersect. Nah, this is for floats. I'm probably better off just doing very simple if statements. Which would be that if the parent dot x is no parent dot point dot x is bigger than pt dot x. Well, no, it's, I'm better off doing it here. If it's less than this, and the parent point dot x plus the parent size dot width is smaller than pt dot x, and then the exact same logic for the y-axis. Then we know that we're inside one of these rectangles, and it will print something. Except it doesn't. So I messed it up. $80, $190, $300, $410. Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, that feels correct. Oh, but this isn't. Okay, now it works. Should probably do this check first. Mouse button down. All right. I can click them. Cool. Well, if that's the case, then val is going to be increased by 1 with a maximum value of 3. No, maximum value of 3 means a modulo of 4. And then I need to update the guess with its own value and the negation. Okay, bitwise operations. This is always fun to do. Zero B11 and the offset times 2. So what this is going to do is it's going to put 0, 0 into the current value of this. And then it is going to add the new value in there. All right. But it only ever does it for the first value. Okay, prototype is almost built. I just have to figure this part out. I have 3 minutes before the ad break. Can I do it? Is this just one tiny value that's wrong? Probably. So I am using the offset. I am specifically checking which button it is. Yes, and I'm zeroing out specifically that value. Wait, is it doing it? Yeah, it's always doing this one. I forgot to move that. The value that I write also needs to go in the correct one. All right, that was easy to build. Okay, so now that the prototype is built, I have 1 minute to guess a password in which 3 bits are different from my current password. So I click on this, now it's 4, so that's clearly not a 1. Click it again, okay, I found 1 because it went down to 2. Nope, nope. I think that's it. There you go. Okay, that's the password. So I guessed 10010010. Same thing can be done also with 16-bit values, but that's more complicated. It's not really worth doing right now. And right on time for the ad break. So I am going to be back in 3 minutes. All right, I'm back. And a few hundred logical operations later, I built a very simple, rebuilt a very simple prototype that I had already built once. Essentially, you just guess a password by its binary representation based off how many binary digits or bits are different from your guess and the result. So right now it's 6. That means that 6 out of these 8 zeros are ones. It shouldn't be particularly difficult to guess this one, actually. Nope. It's that one. That and that. All right. Cool. I'm gonna improve it a little bit, maybe. If you guessed it, your color is going to be green. Otherwise, it is going to be blue. And whether you guessed it or not is going to depend on if diff is equal to 0, guessed equals to true. Okay, 5 bits are different. Not that one. That is a pretty simple password to guess. There it is. Okay. So this is a very simple kind of brute forcing, I guess, prototype. Maybe too simple. I guess I could also make it more complex by making 16, 32, and 64-bit. Okay, let's not do 64 bits of it. It's gonna take you roughly 1,000,000 years to crack a password. No, not really. It's gonna take you a little bit, but yeah. Point is, you can do more complex versions of that. Ready to ship to Steam, yeah. We're ready to go. It's technically a game. There you have it. You can run it multiple times. 4 bits. That one. That one. That one. And that one. Yeah, it's not a particularly complicated game. I don't want it to be particularly complicated, but I feel like it is good enough. Okay. Now, I have the very basics of the game built, but it is Z, yes. But I have completely forgotten what the bot was. Yeah, okay. I have it built in its own standalone application, which, by the way, a standalone application for cross-platform takes me about 5 minutes of setup. And I didn't even have to use React Native. React Native is a skill issue. Just FYI. Not saying that to any particular company with 4 rectangles as its logo, or 5 rectangles. I mean squares, not rectangles. 5 squares or 6 squares or 7 or 8. I'm not naming anyone in particular. I'm not naming any company known for social media apps. For for instance, I'm just giving random examples, React Native is a skill issue. Raylib is where it's at for cross-platform development, because let's face it, I didn't build a simple windowing system for Linux. I just used Raylib. But I did build an entire OS with its own windowing system, so hey, cut me some slack. And that doesn't change the fact that React Native is a skill issue. Both on the part of its developers and the people that use it. Unless their job makes them use it. In which case, I guess that is, something that just happens to people. Happened to a friend of mine, so, trying to be a good friend. Definitely didn't happen to me. Yeah, turns out that easy to just do one simple prototype of a game in 60 lines of code without using React Native. I could even do an entire start menu if I wanted to. And guess what I wouldn't use? React Native. Oh, hold on. There is one more thing I want to check. Would you look at that? It is not using insane amounts of memory. And frankly, it is using way more memory because it is Raylib. It's probably loading a bunch of stuff in the background. It's doing all of this, which it absolutely doesn't need to do. I mean, no, it needs to do it. The point is my app doesn't need to do it. 14 megabytes of RAM is more than I'm actually using. And I'm not doing any allocations. So in terms of heap, no way, I am doing allocations. In terms of heap, I am using, you can probably calculate it. Technically strings are always like statically allocated to the size of 256 bytes. So that 256 for this string times 4, that is 1024. And then this is a char actually, so it's still internally using a string, but only on Linux. On my system, it doesn't use a string. So let's say about a kilobyte of memory, and that is considering that there's no optimization for string creation. Yeah. I would say that's pretty cool. Still 14 megabytes, I'm not gonna lie. Ever since I started developing an operating system, every time I see memory usage, I wonder, what could you possibly be doing with that much memory? Why would you need that much memory? 14 megabytes feels like quite a lot. And more so, I just feel like modern software is just incredibly inefficient. If we go to web, it just goes. 14 megabytes is probably nothing to this page, for example. Yeah. So. The page that displays this static information containing just a bunch of directories is 56 megabytes of RAM. The application that gets run by that, granted it's not on GitHub so I cannot really tell you, uses 14, and that's relying on a third-party library that's doing a bunch of stuff that it probably already isn't super optimized. How much does Google use? Now I'm wondering. Okay, this has images though. That's not helpful. All of Google has images. Okay, what about Reddit? $65 megabytes. They do know these are static pages, right? There's nothing happening on these pages. Why do they need 56 or 65 megabytes for any of this? Whatever happened to just doing this? Oh, I was pressing control instead of command. Whoops. Whatever happened to just doing this? It used to be so simple. It used to be so easy to do a website. Not that that loaded. Why are we just waiting? So easy. Why the fuck is this using 1.5 megabytes? It is literally doing nothing. Somewhere along the way, we have royally fucked up. Mostly the web, but computing in general. Why does this, which literally just displays so easy, use 1.5 megabytes? Why are there scripts when the code looks like this? Why is JS taking up so much memory? God, I cannot wait until I do my own browser and I just nuke JavaScript from it. I explicitly, if I find this tag, I will literally crash your entire system. I will literally, okay, this is what my parser is gonna look like. That's what it's gonna look like. That's the plan. JavaScript, you're out. We don't need you, we don't want you. All right. HTML is also like even vanilla JavaScript is so much easier to use than any of these frameworks. It is less bloated. It's still quite bloated because it's fucking JavaScript. Even when there isn't JavaScript, it's bloated. But ugh. We need a great JavaScript purge like with Flash and ActionScript. Yes, we do. Actually, I forgot to mention this. Someone's writing a parser for fun. So I'm gonna use that once it's ready to begin the great purge of C++. Essentially. Bye again, MX. The contributor that's been working on networking wanted to practice string manipulation and told me he wanted to make a JSON parser. And I told him that if he was able to generalize the code for that, I was going to use it to build a parser out of it. So that will be happening soon, maybe. After only a week, I'm convinced to migrate to Zig. I want to do that, honestly. Because like my plan is to just do a transpiler from C++ to C. the funniest thing is I don't even need to do this. I can just port my code manually from C++ to C back again. I actually did it for a driver when I thought that the C++ was causing issues with the driver. I ended up being wrong, but hey. I didn't keep the changes. But it was that easy because my C++ is just C with classes. So it was easy for me to just convert it back to just C. But my plan is to have something do that automatically for me. Essentially. So I will need a parser. And maybe a semantic analyzer. And then output C code. And then GCC can handle that. The only downside, which is also an upside, is that it's unusable, like they're breaking stuff with each version. That's pretty normal, I feel like, for languages. Swift did that a lot. Every time you update it, even minor versions, it was like, oh, this function that we introduced last time? Yeah, it's deprecated. Yeah, fuck off. Also, Unity does that a lot. But the difference is eventually Swift stabilized, and it was also a new language when all of this was happening, same as Zig is a new language now. Whereas for Unity, it's just like, yeah, we deprecated this. Why? Who gives a shit? We just deprecated it. We felt like it. I'm actually pretty sure Unity used to have their traditional networking stack, then a new, vastly improved, much simpler, much better one, which was in beta. And they actually deprecated it before it ever exited beta, and now I'm not even sure that Unity has a networking stack anymore. Holy fuck, this website is slow. Oh my god. View the roadmap. Oh, that's a good sign. Actually, it's been a while since I've seen what Unity's... Their roadmap is just their website. Also, why is this like... It's 480p. I forgot the resolution. 480p. What is going on with this website? I mean, not the website, just the video behind it. Why is it so low resolution? I wanted to see your roadmap, but you took me here instead, and I'm not entirely sure why. Because it's been a while since I've checked out Unity. Do they just not have a roadmap anymore? It's a video. And discussions on the roadmap. Well, that's going well for them. Anyway, I haven't used Unity in years, so I wanted to see, hey, what have they done? Have they improved since I last used it? And the answer is, we don't know. Why are you asking us? Unfortunately, I've never seen any migration documents for Zig either. Things break and you just have to figure out how to port it to their new version or whatever new paradigm. How old is Zig anyway? Is that their logo? That's cute. No, I know this logo, but like their mascot, I guess. They're on 0.15.2. First appeared 9 years ago. Interesting. Last major release was 59 days ago. I've seen some interesting stuff with it, and it looks cool. Why do they want to just add exclamation points randomly? All modern programming languages that were born in the 2010s are just like yelling at you for no reason. Why do they all gotta do this? Swift uses it for unwrapping. This uses it for this. Rust uses it for macros. And none of it is necessary in the slightest. Generic linked list. Yeah, it's a pretty simple implementation. What the fuck is this? At least use the Spanish exclamation point that's upside down if you are gonna put it before the actual type. You know, build anticipation. Please don't use that one. Even Spanish people, we don't use that shit. We don't use that symbol. The only people who use that symbol when like texting are foreigners who learn Spanish. No, I figured that they were being explicit. Just that it feels like you should have put it at the end. Like in another language, you would do like node pointer, not pointer node. So you would do node pointer nullable, not nullable pointer node. See, like, this feels like a variable, not like a type. If I have to read it without understanding what it is, I do understand it, so obviously I'm doing it on purpose, but like, it feels like the type is list and the name of the variable is self, based on how most programming languages handle it. So it's just a matter of getting used to it, it's not a big deal. The exclamation point here is just diabolical. Type is more Pascalish. I'm going off of C, you know. The best programming language in history. The name Zig was reportedly chosen through a process involving a Python script that randomly combined letters. That's the 2016 version of Asking AI. Starting with the letter Z followed by a vowel or Y in order to generate 4-letter words. Despite the intended length, Zig, a 3-letter word, was ultimately selected from the various combinations produced by the script. Not bad. I like it. Because it's the 2016 equivalent of Asking AI, but it's not Asking AI, so I like it. You would be surprised by how valid name generators built like this are. I built like a name generator for NPCs once, which I'm probably gonna rebuild for this hacking game. Where I literally just took a bunch of names that I came up with, like 6 names. I broke them down into syllables, and then I just combined those syllables. Sometimes it created stuff that was like a little bit hard to pronounce or just straight up impossible to pronounce. Most of them sounded, you know, not like human names, I guess, but mostly okay. The previous bootstrapping compiler written in Zig and C++ using LLVM as a backend supporting many of its native targets was removed in version 0.11. Newer versions use a Newer versions of Zig use a pre-built WebAssembly version of Zig to bootstrap itself. Bun is a JavaScript and TypeScript runtime written in Zig using Safari's JavaScript core virtual machine. Why is any of this happening? Why is there WebAssembly in your compiler? I know that they're moving off of GitHub, but are they still on there for now? Nope. Well, yeah, they're still here. So I just want to look at this. Languages, mostly Zig, C, C++, Python, CMake, and JavaScript. JavaScript does not belong in a fucking compiler. What the fuck? No. No. Lib? Okay, JavaScript for the lib. Kind of skill issue as well, but I get it. Python, same for you. You don't belong in a fucking compiler. Minecraft has a random name generator, but it's only used internally for debugging as it generates names randomly based on UID. It has a random name generator? It would be cool if they used that for villagers and shit. It's surprisingly simple. Pretty sure if I dig around a little bit, I can find the string array that I used to build it. Literally, I came up with like 6 names, 6 English names. And then I just combined their syllables. That's it. Maybe an hour to build the whole thing. We'll build something like that eventually, like I said. NPCs are probably going to have a randomly generated number. Something metallic just fell out of my chair. I feel like this chair is just going to break randomly one day. And I hope it doesn't happen on stream. Although that would make for a pretty interesting short. But I am not willing to go to those lengths for a few views. Okay, it's just a hair clip. We're good. My chair is not falling apart. I still feel like the chair might fall apart eventually, but it's not currently falling apart. Okay, so prototype is built. Not gonna lie, I like playing with it. Doesn't require particular skill, but you still have to figure it out. Forget to debug the chair. I need to get a better chair. This material is really like annoying. So right now that essentially my entire body except for my hands and face are covered, it's fine. But like in the summer when I'm wearing shorts or sleeveless shirts, it's so annoying. And also it gets full of hair from a little somebody. Is he there? Shit. I keep confusing that for Jester. It's not him. Jester. He's super asleep, probably. Alright. I was gonna do something. Yeah, I was gonna implement scrolling in this thing. And then I said, do not put your prototypes into your games or in production. I said production. Because it's true, you shouldn't do that. But I'm gonna break my own rule. No, not really. What I can do is just change the code of this to make it available in the game, but I kind of need to figure out how minigames are gonna work within my engine. I honestly have never done minigames ever in any game project I have ever worked on, so I don't know how they work from a structural point of view. Before I do that though, I want to do this. The logic for button down is going to move over here. And I'm also going to use the mouse scroll. If that's not equal to 0, doing the exact same thing, but how many years have you coding programming? I started when I was about 14. So damn, like half my life. All right. Must have done something wrong. Want to hack? No, I'm making a hacking game. Wait, what exactly are we complaining about here? Unterminated argument list invoking macro draw. How? How is it an unterminated? How did that happen? When did that happen? It's not because of this, is it? Is it? I think everything looks correct. YouTube make their link detection better. Even with the dot, with the brackets. Okay, genuinely, what are we complaining about here? I don't understand. This works, right? And this works. Oh my god, okay, I just saw it. I'm missing a parenthesis. Alright. Okay, I can scroll. Cool. That makes it so much faster. I'm just building a little prototype for a hacking game. Oh. It kind of overflows. MCSRC. Just pretend there's a dot there. Dev, which lets you see Minecraft source code and you can take a look at debug name entity generator. By the way, JavaScript, Java is like super easy to reverse engineer. Interesting. So yeah, they just combine two words randomly. So I can do like brow bush. That sounds weird. Toe cry. Tooth fat. Well, it would probably be fat tooth. Sly brow. Soup face. Dirt twig. Actually, that game I played a while ago on stream, Schedule 1. Has a name generator as well for different products that you can mix. And I don't know if they still have it. But essentially, if you watch any gameplay or if you play yourself, you will definitely have a mix called Aspen Death. Everyone has that because it like I don't remember exactly what the issue was, but it would generate like a hash based on the ingredients of the mix, And if that hash ended up being negative, and then it would use that hash to look into an array and generate a name for it. But if that hash was negative, it would go to the first elements, which were Aspen and Death. So it would always create Aspen-Death mix. And then it would happen all the time, but mixes were unique. So if it was ever already taken, it would just give you another one. But that means that pretty much every player that's played that game for more than 5 minutes has an Aspen Death mix. Not sure if they patched it or not. They being one Australian guy that made the game. Okay, I understand what the problem is. Probably. Wait, can this overflow? Right, how does modulo handle negative number overflows? That's not very correct, probably. That logic. Yeah, it still fails. Probably because of this modulo thing being wrong. Well, besides the fact that I put the logic in the wrong place, but whatever. Okay, yeah, I think that fixed it. But only for one of them. Wait, why was this working before and now it isn't anymore? What just happened? If I just put this logic back in here. Oh, the value happened to be 0. Why does it only work for 1 now? Oh my god, that's why. Technically legal because it doesn't distribute any of the code? I was wondering about that. Okay, cool. So how easy is it to brute force this now that I have a scroll wheel on it? No, no, you don't really have to brute force it. It's just easier to work this way. Minecraft has to allow decompiling for mods. I don't know why I feel like JavaScript, Java. I don't even know how to search it, but like it retains all of its names and stuff. Like it's not a thing that you can get rid of. God, I'm completely blanking on the name of that, but essentially all of these types, all of these variable names, all of these function names can get stripped out of the binary, which is also how you end up with my operating system binary being like half the size of the ELF file. But in Java, you can't really do that because of the way that it works. If I'm not mistaken, the JVM does require those names. But I'm completely blanking on what that's called. They're stripping symbols. Yeah, stripping symbols, I guess. All right. Oh my god, what happened to my voice? And there's the calculator. Cool. So I have my first hacking. So I have my first. Ow, that actually hurt my finger. I have my first hacking prototype up. And it works well. And in the process, I implemented a new syscall. And in the process, I also... Damn, that really hurt. What the hell? And in the process, I also implemented a clicking buttons and stuff. So that's cool. But now I need to figure out how I could go about implementing this in the game itself. Minecraft is obfuscated. Oh, right. I remember that about Minecraft being obfuscated. Forgot that. The thing is, I'm genuinely not sure how minigames are usually implemented, because minigames are technically games by themselves, entirely completely separate from the normal game, right? So it's not going to be self-contained, but I would like it to be its own little module. It just exists within itself, and it doesn't even need to be done with ECS. Because UI with ECS would be a pain in the ass, and yeah, I don't want to implement that part with ECS. I actually kind of want to implement it the way that I already implemented it. This, except the password isn't generated at runtime. All right, let me think. It needs to have its own little window for it. But ideally not. A full window. As in, not a new context, that would be stupid. Alright, I can just start porting this code and then figure it out from there. Okay, so hacking game is here. It's just this little guy in a room with a computer that moves a little weird in cross-platform, but oh well. Do I want to make it so that you click on the computer? Most likely, because then you're going to use the mouse for the minigame. if I want to do E to interact, which I probably do at some point, I'm probably not going to bother right now, but this is going to be a point and click game. So let me do a point and click game. All right. So close others. We're going to include the... This menu is not super easy to navigate, not gonna lie. I'm hoping that... what's the point of having it a clean interface like this when I have to click on this? It's not like it's a lot of options. Might as well just keep them there. Again, on Mac it's cool because those options are always on the top of the bar, but Linux is just also wasting a ton of space here with this. I like the way that Mac does it. Okay, let me start with clicking the computer itself. That's the easy part to do. The computer is being created here. Right, and then I would need to give it a sort of interactable tag so that the system, I can then build a system that's like, hey, look up where the computer is here, essentially in the mouse handler, actually, here. It would detect where we clicked and find what object is there. Before I do the interactable stuff, let me do the click, the actual clicking mechanic. So there is a function I already implemented in the Ghost game for the player to possess whatever object they're hovering over. It's going to be the same thing, but instead of being the player hovering, it's going to be the mouse hovering. And why drag and drop is not always efficient in this dem editor, I don't understand. Right here, this check collision. That's Linux being shit? Not surprised. Okay, it's doing check collision. What I don't understand is what is check collision doing internally? Comparing against what? The source. Oh, UID is the source. Okay, that's what I was wondering. Okay, so this is what I need. But this is check collision for a transform. Which... okay. I should be able to create a static inline bool point. Yeah, my collision code is absolute shit, by the way, but return a collision offset. Pretty much the same logic that I built in the other thing in the proto hack. This one. where this point gets replaced with the collision offset. Yeah, no, not these two. A collision offset. These two get replaced with the a collision size, x and y. I'm a little bit inconsistent. Size is x and y, not width and height. Yeah, I'll fix that eventually, when it bothers me enough. And this is just p, 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 p. Okay. And that, whoops, got rid of a value there, simply tells us whether these two values collide. Right? Then check collision needs to have another version of it, which just takes a point and does a point inside the check. Instead of using that, it uses, is it the point first? Yes, it's the point first. So point. And then that's it. We get rid of this because there's no such thing as a source anymore. There's no such thing as a source anymore. Okay. And we have a point collision function. So first off, we need to create a point. So GPU point. Wait. That's screen pace coordinates. Damn. Screen space coordinates versus the other coordinates. I need to make that conversion. Speaking of which, I also need to open the engine. There's a million projects I'm working with, but at least I can open them all in the same folder, and that makes it kind of easy to work with. All right, so I can search for the possessed mouse handler. Here it is. Gets called in here. So it would be cool if we put the code for this directly in there. Get mouse position. I'll need to figure out these syscalls. It's kind of weird that they're different right now. I'll probably unify them into one because get mouse status and get mouse position. I just don't want to think about that right now. All right, that's it for the engine. It now automatically passes that to the game. The game now gets a GPU point. Doesn't need to do this manually. And then it can do a mouse collision against a transform, anything that has a transform, and it executes this code once it finds it, which is just going to be a print thing, collided with I, and it's going to be the ID of the object that it collided with. And of course it isn't. Okay. Did I do the collision thing correctly though? Yeah, it needs to check against something that has a transform. Pretty much all of them have a transform if they exist, so that shouldn't be a problem. Relay should be the interactable, but I haven't created the interactable system yet. Yeah, it feels just a coordinate thing. I wonder if I can make it somehow think. No. It's not even happening on a click, by the way. Just happening. Yeah, that number is insane. Hello? What the fuck is that number, bro? It worked in Raylib in the other one, but I'll figure it out after the break. Alright, I'm back. Broadcasts. I have to say, Linux is so inconsistent sometimes. Whenever I accidentally press this button, it opens the calculator. Except it just opened the calculator on the wrong screen. Is it just based off of where my mouse is? Alright, yes, it is. Now copying and pasting on the terminal is completely inconsistent. You're gonna fall. Sit down. Sit. Thank you. Yeah, so. Where was I? I just realized. Okay, why this is given really weird results. It's because I didn't recompile the engine. So the width, let me see if I'm right. Bro. Yeah, the height is always 0 and the width is a weird number because it's actually a float. That's the delta time. Because the engine is not recompiled. Oh, shit. Now I recompiled it, but not for cross-platform. So there it is. There it is. No, it still doesn't detect me clicking on anything, but these coordinates are different from the space coordinates. Right, I forgot you don't need to press Ctrl-Alt-G to release the mouse here. Alright. If you always want to show the menu buttons, you can enable title bar, pretend dot here, show menus. Pretend dot here, okay, got it. You mean these? In the settings? Well, is there just a setting here for that? No. Wait, what is that format though? It doesn't look like it goes into this JSON. Not sure which one you're talking about. He just comes in here to lick himself. I swear to God, this dog. Okay. In the search of settings. Oh, I see. I feel like that... Oh, no, it is there. Cool. Okay. You have so much space. Why would you do a double line? I prefer it like that anyway. It's just like, just put it here, bro. It's fine. And then put this over here instead of this useless sign in button. Is there something about that? Yeah, just get rid of that. Let me see, just editor. Show branch icon. Okay. Branch name, project items. So I can get rid of that, I guess. And that still keeps that there. Show user picture. What user picture, bro? Show menus, yeah. Show onboarding banner. No, thank you. Project items. Oh, right. I already did that one. All right. Cool. But cool. You have so much space over here. Oh, if you're signed in, which I'm not, of course. You just think it would, like, disable that option. Why would you sign into a code editor? Like, Christ. All right, I need to convert screen space coordinates to world space coordinates in order to do this point collision stuff. So to do the point collision, the screen space coordinates are probably an ECS core. Yeah, camera positions used in a bunch of places here. This adjusts it. So it should be pretty simple for me to do a macro for, well, not a macro, no, a just a function, I guess. No, this needs to return a vector too. Screen to world GPU point P. There should also be a world to screen, but we don't need that right now. Okay, it's gonna be so okay, let me see how this is done. Camera position is used. Okay. Camera position says how much the camera has shifted from the origin point. So when the camera position is 0, the origin point is up here, and the screen origin point is here. When the camera position moves to like x100, it moves over here, but the screen point is here. So to convert from here to here, then its value will be minus 100. Yeah. So it should be the GPU point minus the camera position x with this being converted to a float. And then the same thing happening on the y-axis. What I'm not accounting for just yet is the scale. So I'll have to figure out the scale eventually. Okay, make the engine and then switch back to the game in which we will pretty sure this stays the same. I just have to change that. P becomes screen to world P. But it still doesn't detect any clicks. And for that matter, the player starts at room size. Yeah, I'm still not doing it right. Wait, there's another variable that I didn't consider. that would be the camera scale already, I'm pretty sure. Or the camera size, one of these two. Which is just divide by them, or multiply by them, or the exponential, or I don't fucking know. We're just gonna try this, okay? Let's see how that goes. Maybe I'll get it right on the first try. Which is pretty much my approach to doing math. Just, I think it's this. I'm not gonna bother checking if it is. I guess I'll know whether it works or not. It's colliding with stuff. Kind of. But only with some things. So we're there, but we're not quite there yet. Bye, Jester. Oh, you're not leaving. You're drinking more water. The room size is actually defined here. It's 16 by 9. So... closer to being better, but not quite right. Okay, so... it actually just so happens that we haven't moved at all. So... no way, we have a little bit. Yeah, but this is 0. And then this is like 30. It feels mostly okay, but not quite. Okay. Here, you're gonna tell me where the player is, and I'm gonna use that as a reference. So the player is located here. And I can actually just print F from here. Why do I feel like... yeah, the screen's glitching a little bit on OBS. That's a new one. Component, locación X, component, locación Y. Okay, that will tell me where the player is, and I can use that to orient myself. Player is at 845. 4.5, I mean. Okay, and then you're gonna tell me where the mouse currently is. It is at near 8. It's not quite right. It's almost right, but it's not quite right. And then 4.5. It's like here. Shit, it's like... close, but not quite there yet. Wait, but there's a camera follow system, which is moving the camera around, so that's not helping my calculations. Okay, 8 and 4.5. The player starts here. The sprite has a little bit of extra space, so I believe that is actually very correct. And then 32 sounds about right, because these tiles are size 2. Yeah, no, I feel like the calculation is correct now. What I'm a little surprised by is the collision. Seems to only detect stuff when it's colliding here. Oh, but, right. Or not right. I can hack it together a little bit, actually. Because I can just keep track of the player. In a global variable. And then I can access the player's transform. Oh, hold on. This point collision. Collide function. Yeah, okay, I just did it wrong. I just did this calculation wrong. The collision offset is actually this. The collision offset just tells you where it's relative to the sprite. Which is why everything was at 0, 0. Okay. Because I wasn't moving it to where the sprite is. These are for X. And these are for Y. Right? It's complaining about something. Probably you just need to recompile the engine. Nope. That thing I just did with the player entity, I'm just gonna get rid of it. There. Collide it. Collide it. Cool. It's colliding exactly with the computer and the player. The question that I have is, why is it only colliding with them? Because it's checking for anything that has a transform, which I can guarantee you pretty much everything has a transform. Yeah, the tiles have a transform, obviously. Oh, but they don't have a collision at all. Cool, actually. Makes my job easier. Okay. Well, that was easy to implement once I figured out the math for it. But of course, I only want to check these collisions if Mouse button down on this event. Button 0. Now I can click it. Why twice? Why twice? It was printing it twice. Well, first off, let me check that it was, but I think it was, very much so. Yeah, that collided twice, 4 times. Oh, well, to be fair, I'm checking if mouse button down. This doesn't check for events. It checks just, is it down or not? And it returns true for like 2 frames. So if I just keep it down, nothing changes. Fuck, that's not it. That's not it. High chance this is being called twice somehow. No, not really. Within one update, it is being called twice. So I'm assuming then this function is being called twice somehow. Also no. So this function is being called twice. Or this one. This function is being called twice. Why? Who is calling you twice? When it... What happened there? What's happening here? Wait. Now this is being called twice? I don't understand what's happening anymore. Isn't this giving me two opposite results from what it was giving me before? Before, it looked like this function was being called once, and somehow this one was being called twice. Now it looks like this function is being called twice. Then again, get mouse status implemented in redxlib. It's probably where the bug is. Is mouse button pressed? That image is a reaction image. If I found it, it's because someone was definitely acted like someone else needed to respond to them with that picture. Is you the problem? Why is it being pressed twice? Okay. I'm skipping over the fact that this gave me two different results before. I'm going to assume it's because I didn't recompile this library properly, and now it's giving me the proper result. It is marking it as pressed twice, even though then it isn't marking this one as pressed twice. Like, it's not being called multiple times. It's only being called twice. So I feel like what Raylib is trying to tell me is mouse pressed, mouse released. That's the behavior that I'm seeing here anyway. Except the function is called is mouse button pressed. Check if a mouse button has been pressed once. Yeah, that's I mean, that's accurate. I need to recompile. Okay. At least now it has valid behavior. I don't know what the other thing was. But all right, I have the mouse being pressed. I really just need to check if the mouse button is pressed once. It's a little too much logic. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . Okay. There, mouse button pressed once. We're good. Kind of just gonna hack this together and then see how I can do it better. But bool mini game open false. That is a lambda, yes. Well, what I should be checking is for the interactable thing, but that doesn't matter. It should also maybe be like menu open. It's macros, C macros. It's really just code inside a bracket. That's pretty much it. Key. All right, yeah, I'm gonna keep this, and then I'm gonna keep menu location. The menu location will be the mouse world location. Okay. And then in the post render, if menu open, we're just going to FB draw rect for the context in the menu location X, menu location Y. That's already wrong. It's not wrong. It's just that... Where is it? Which one of these many functions am I supposed to look at? This one, I think. Yeah. I need to make a conversion every single time, because the camera may have moved since this value was set. Okay. And it's the opposite of the previous value, which is the point.x. So first I undo this part. So I simply multiply by the camera mult. And then I add the camera position x. I like to put parentheses in here just in case. Whoop, whoop, whoop. There. And I'm expecting this function to work on the first try like the other one did. Did the other one work? Kind of. It tried to work on the first try. It didn't necessarily work on the first try. Okay. So it's actually not menu location anymore. It is now going to be to the GPU point. Menu location. World to screen. Menu lock. MLY. MLX. We're going to make a fixed size menu. And we're going to make it semi-transparent black. Bam. Very small. But it doesn't follow the player around. That makes sense. Because the way that I did it, it doesn't follow the player around, but instead of setting a location, gonna be menu target. It's going to be the object that we're colliding with. And then we're going to get that object's transform. And we're going to take the transform's location. Hey, all right. Okay. And I can even make it a vector to add of the transform location and the transform size. That way it starts at the end of the player. And I can even do a vector 2 scale 0.5. That way it will be in the middle of the player or in the middle of the computer. Cool. Surprisingly easy to add this UI to the game. Of course, the way that it's supposed to work is the UI manually, not manually, can see the entity that it is part of the menu. Like the menu can see what entity it is attached to and know what options to show based on context. Because you click on an object and, you know, depending on what object you clicked on, you get different results. Although this is not the best example, but usually that's how it works. Just realized I don't have the time. Last time I got this message, my network broke forever. So there's a chance I'm gonna shut down this computer and then never get it back. If I do, I'm installing a different Linux distro. All right, I'm gonna leave the menu stuff for next time that I do this. I'm probably might even do it off stream, I mean. Because, yeah, the game development is supposed to be 1, maybe 2 days a week, because now I have more time to stream. So I might do it like Mondays and Wednesdays. But I'm gonna try to leave the interesting stuff like gameplay mechanics for stream, but boring stuff like implementing the prototype that I implemented into the game itself might happen off stream. Let me just solve it real quick. Damn, I cannot. There. I like this lockpicking system, especially with this. With the scroll wheel, it feels really lockpicky. But like with bits. So I like the way that it works. Okay. So I'm done working for today. But my next stream is in 2 days. It's on Friday. On Friday, I'm going back to operating system development. I'm gonna keep doing some game stuff on Monday again. And probably not next Wednesday. I just remembered. kind of forgot. It is literally my birthday in a week. I just realized now it's Wednesday. Okay, so probably not Wednesday, but I am gonna do it on Monday. And probably gonna focus on implementing some more game mechanics, except the one that I just implemented today in this little prototype here, I implemented 2 years ago, or I thought of 2 years ago, and I haven't thought of any other ones since then, so I'll need to do some research more than implementing anything. But you know, I'll do some research, some prototypes, and then hopefully between now and then I will be able to integrate them into the game, do all the boilerplate for an interaction system in the game and the game engine. And then I will have that. I'll also need to fix the syscall for the mouse. Like I said, right now it works well here because I'm on cross-platform. No, this is the wrong prototype. It works well here because I'm on cross-platform, and Raylib automatically knows that the mouse position, it needs to return it relative to my window. My system doesn't currently do that, so I will need to talk to the system to do that. And also there's currently 2 syscalls for 1 mouse position. You don't want that. You want 1 at the very least. So honestly, the complicated part is gonna have to be the windowing system, not making it super complicated. But I'll figure that out eventually. I'll figure that out off stream. I'm pretty much done with the memory stuff that I needed to figure out, so I feel like the system is pretty stable. I haven't gotten that weird crash I was getting until a few days ago. So on Friday, I want to focus on something that I talked about in the last stream, and something that I also ran a poll on my Discord about the fact that the system has a theme, the theme.config, whether that should be made available to user-land applications so that they can have an aesthetic that is matching the rest of the system. I want to do that, and I also want to focus a little bit on customization on Friday. And then throughout the weekend, I want to expand that build system project that I did. Well, it's literally just a makefile and a shell script to run that makefile from whatever project you're currently in. But I want to expand it to make it a little bit more complex. I want to use it in more places. I just kind of want to make it work well, essentially. Although I don't like... I'm probably not going to use it within the operating system itself, just because if you want to build a system, you don't want to have to use an entirely new make system, unless it's integrated directly in the system. But okay, well, we'll see about that. Anyway, that's my plan for the weekend streams. So the next stream is on Friday at same time as today, 7:30 p.m. CET, 6:30 UK time. Thank you everybody for joining, for watching. I might do a few hacking game updates here and there on the normal streams, just to, you know, talk about it. Because right now there's a bunch of boring stuff happening, like, okay, opening a menu, and then that menu is gonna have to show options, and then those options are gonna be like actually showing a minigame. So that part is not super interesting, but I do want to, you know, get a quick prototype of the game ready soon, so I might give updates when I work on it off stream, give updates on stream. All right, thank you so much everybody for joining. I will see you on Friday.